So China is very rapidly growing, as I'm sure we can both agree, with its influence. But really, the time for China to be like ahead, where they are spending money and building relationships similar to what the U.S. did in the 20th century, I feel like there's going to be much more people on a team with China. And I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing.
Hello，大家好，今天我邀请另外一个朋友 Daniel，他是土生土长的加拿大人，想让他来跟大家分享一下他的故事。
I'm Daniel Tessier. I am a fourth year mechanical engineer at the University of Victoria. I'm a local to the island. I grew up here and I've been here all my life. My mother and my father moved here from eastern Canada. My mother was from Manitoba and my father was from Saskatchewan, and they moved here for work and because they like the weather. It's much more mild than the east of Canada. It is colder in general, but not as cold for the extremes, because on the east coast and on the interior it gets very cold in the winter, and they didn't like that, so they moved here.
Yeah, compared to other places of Canada, Vancouver Island is much better, I think.
Yes, very mild.
Why did you choose your current major?
When I went into university, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do besides engineering, because my interest was in the STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. That's what I did really good in high school. I was initially going to be a biomedical engineer because my mother is a doctor, and I really appreciated the healthcare aspect that she provided. I felt like that provided a lot of value to society, and I thought that was very admirable. And I decided to stay on the island mostly because financial reasons and just where I was at life. I thought it'd be easier to do schooling somewhere that I'm familiar with, because they gave me a nice scholarship. So that makes it easy, yeah.
But for local people, for local residents,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay much money for the tuition fee. So why not choose another prestigious university like UBC, Toronto University, like that?
Yes. Well, but the things you got to keep in mind is the cost of living in British Columbia is very high. It's
Yeah.
expensive. So being here, I can save money by living with my parents. Vic generally is considered to have a pretty good engineering program
Yeah.
because of the co-op program that they have with 4 mandatory co-op terms for engineers.
So currently you are living with your parents?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Are there any unforgettable moments or memories from your earlier school life you'd like to share?
I went to a private school when I was young. I went to a Catholic school.
Oh, cool. As
So-
same as Kiera.
Yes, Kiara did as well.
So that school, there's no other girls in that school, just
No,
all
there
same
there
genders?
was. It was mixed gender. Yeah.
Oh, mixed gender.
Yes. So there was boys and girls, and it was a mandatory Catholic attendance. So we went to church and stuff. My family used to be a lot more religious. They're not so much anymore. But yeah, I spent a lot of time. That was kind of the way that baked into how I lived. Was I had the standard elementary school kind of growing up. It's pretty universal. But we had some unique things, like going to church. I know, very special. But
Do you go to church nowadays?
I don't nowadays.
You forgot that it's good confession?
You see, when you're little, and you have to wear a suit and tie and sweater and dress pants everywhere, and you have to go to church.
So you
It's-
was first.
It's not very admirable to be in that situation. But looking back, I don't think it was as bad as I thought it was. We put heavy emphasis on St. Patrick's Day. There's always big St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and so that was pretty unique.
Sounds like you have a very carefree childhood.
I'd say so.
What was your typical day like for you in high school in Victoria?
In my experience, I also went to a local high school. And my workload and my experience was pretty relaxed. A lot of time with friends, generally pretty good. Good work-life balance, because I didn't commit myself to a lot of extra things that some people might have due to passion or chase of wanting to get something or achieve something. To be honest, my remembrance of high school is generally work was mostly completed at school, which is great. People probably find that it's pretty relaxed, yeah.
Do you have any regrets so far?
I wish I did a bit more searching for what I would like to do extracurricularly in high school. because that's a good way a lot of people made friends, and I do have plenty of friends. I'm quite happy with my friend group, so I kind of wish that maybe spent more time developing skills outside of school. I was big into in terms of arts, ceramics, and I also spent my time learning Japanese. I did Japanese for 4 years, and
You visited Japanese?
no, I did not visit Japan, but I studied the language for 4 years in high school.
There's a
So-
Japanese course you can study.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
But I get no electives. I get one actually, and I used it to take a small business course. So not much choice. A lot of majors have so many electives they don't know what to do with them. But not us engineers. We are very set in what we have to do.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that kind of locked me out. So that's a bit of a regret that I didn't pursue more of that.
To be honest, what's your dream?
I want to be a very successful engineer in what I achieve. I feel helps a lot of people, even if it's niche.
I think your answer is a little bit abstract.
I want my job to focus on material science, and I want my job to have a good work-life balance.
You intended to convert your interest to your career and enjoy that, and
Yes.
the better way it can provide you a basic living, have very stable financial.
Yes. What's my type?
Yeah.
I'm not very picky, I'd say, but it is very cliche. It's about personality, but otherwise I'm not very picky. I do want somebody who has similar interests to me, though. My type is a little more on the, a little bit less on the, I guess more reserved. I'm not a big party guy. I'm not a big
Alcohol guy.
Yeah, no, none of those things. So somebody a bit more reserved would probably be my type.
You don't care about the appearance, whether it's beauty or ugly.
Well, that's
about
that's
the head?
subjective. I've found people attractive who are tall, who are short, who are larger, who are smaller.
And the figure.
I can't pin it down to one person. It's about the whole person.
Okay. Personality.
Yeah, personality is baked in there too.
Okay. Yeah. How many countries have you visited, and which country you love the most?
I've only been to three, the three in North America.
United States, Mexico,
Yeah,
and
Canada. Well, here I've been around the country in different places. But my favorite is the United States in Hawaii because it was probably the closest that I got to something that I felt was not North American. And it's nice to see something different.
which is different? You mean the food or weather?
Food, culture, weather, everything's different in Hawaii. Hawaii is a melting pot of the West and the East. There's a lot of Chinese, Japanese
middle.
influence.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that. I'm very interested in other cultures. So it's very cool to see all that stuff. My
What's your impression on
on
China? Yeah.
China is it's a big country, a lot of people. It's certainly different than North America. I feel like the value system at its core is different, and it's hard for me to say exactly who likes what because I know there's lots of different types of people in China,
Yeah.
just like in Canada. But I feel like it's a lot more homogenous in the society. I believe a lot more people there share similar beliefs, goals, because they share a common past, language. Canada's very diverse. It's hard to say person A would be similar to person B. I'm not saying that everybody's the same in China, but I feel like there are general things that can be applied to lots of people with their interests and what they want to do. So like I assume I can't say that I know this for sure, but like I think China has values about financial success and what you're supposed to be with a family that is present in Canada, but is not the same. So I think I would find it quite interesting and surprising to see the amount of people that would agree on something versus Canada, which feels very heterogeneous with how different people think and see, because we have so many people from all over the world that it would be interesting to see what's going on there. I also know China is a giant developer of technology and manufacturing, so I am quite impressed by some of the technologies, the electric cars, and especially I see a lot, at least in the media, a lot of self-driving cars in China.
Yeah.
And we really don't have those here, so I'm quite impressed by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear from you that you have a very positive view on China. Yeah, hopefully you can have a trip in China in the near future.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with a lot of countries per se, just based on the fact that there's a group, because countries are just lines on maps, right? Asian culture is interesting, as well as many other cultures, European, and it's something that I would like to explore, learn more about, and I don't feel I have the authority to judge a whole group of people necessarily about what they think or what they do, because I have not experienced it myself. And a good way to experience that would probably be traveling there.
Yeah. Do you believe that in the near future, China can surpass the United States in all aspects?
I wouldn't say in all, but I'd say in many. They're getting there in terms of military. I know they are growing, and they've been very successful with their manufacturing capabilities and their technology, and they've been reaching out into the world, from what I've been hearing, to places like Africa and other continents to build relationships. And I think that is definitely a challenge to the neoliberal world order led by the United States. But I'm also aware of China's demographics, and from what I've been told and from what I've read, their demographics are a bit older. So you need a certain amount of young people, and from what I've been telling, China's overall demographic is aging.
Yeah.
So China is very rapidly growing, as I'm sure we can both agree, with its influence. But really, the time for China to be like ahead, depending on what the U.S. does. This all depends, assuming the U.S. remains static. Is soon and now. So I think the influence of the Chinese country is going to be very prevalent and may surpass the United States. I wouldn't say necessarily culturally, because the United States has rubbed off so much all over the world, everywhere. But I feel like China itself is going to have a lot more influence over countries that are not as closely aligned with the American ideology. Like Canada is very close to America, but places like the islands in the Pacific, countries in Africa where they are spending money and building relationships similar to what the US did in the 20th century. I feel like there's going to be much more people on a team with China. And I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing, because I think it's okay to have people with different beliefs and not have everybody underneath the same kind of idea. But I am also aware that what the U.S. did to the world is not necessarily a net positive in every single way, or rather there was positives and negatives. And I'm hoping that China will generally have a positive influence on other countries, but I do not know their goals entirely with foreign policy.
I like your comprehensive answer. What do you know or think about Chinese culture or Chinese student?
Yes, one of the oldest large-scale civilizations, from what I know, that is still around. I know there's been many years of war and separation within the state, but I do know you guys have preserved a lot of the history. Victoria has, I think, one of the oldest Chinatowns in Canada, so that's quite interesting, and we have a good Chinese influence. Exactly.
I visited Chinatown.
Yes,
It's
I
too
know.
small.
But that is because it hasn't grown much, but it's been there for forever. I don't know everything about Chinese students to make a full and assessive opinion. And I can't relate to their worldview, as in even how they speak and their family cohesion. It's kind of like foreign to me. I don't know.
So besides me, do you have any other Chinese friends here?
Yes, I do.
What's your impression on them?
They've all been nice, but I mean, despite me believing that China is more homogenous, they do have different beliefs, personalities.
Yeah.
It's hard. In my experience, I've had nothing of note or issue with them. But I wouldn't say one is better or I like more. They both bring unique things to the table.
Yeah, I think so. So it's not special for you, right?
No, Canada has many different people.
Okay. Yeah, it's an immigrant country.
You wouldn't dare judge everybody from that country based on the few people that I've met.
Okay. In the future, you want to get married with a girl.
Yeah.
What qualities do you value most in a partner?
Empathy and compassion. I want somebody who can understand me and knows how I feel, and because I generally view myself as an empathetic person. I'd also like somebody who would have general interest in what I do, so that we have something that works with interests, at least as a baseline. They don't have to do the exact same thing that I do, but mutual respect for each other's professions would be good. And I'm hoping to find a balance where I can score high on both the personality and appearance metrics for me.
So first one is personality, second one is the appearance and the emotion connection.
Yes, appearance, emotional connection. Yes, I
About
value
third
those
one?
all three.
Okay, one tough question. You can reject it. Which girl you do think is the most beautiful in our life?
I don't think I can answer that for professional reasons.
Okay, delete it.
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Change it to another question.
Yeah.
From three of them, is there any people you think is beautiful?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. At what age do you think most people here start talking about or having sexual experience?
Yes. So, based on my experience and the experience of my friends that they've told me, most people start understanding the concept of sex and seeing it as a social thing and something that's prevalent in society in elementary school. Starts quite early. But it isn't in the active pursuit. It is more in the sense of humor. It's funny to make illicit jokes. And that was
older?
hot button.
How old are they at that time?
I'd say once you get to around the age of 8, you start figuring things out.
8?
8, yes, that's when you
What
start
is a
like.
primary student?
Yeah. You learn swears,
Oh, God.
and you learn, at least for me, because I went to a Catholic elementary school. You really buckle people down.
Yeah.
With morals.
Yeah.
And that creates, when you are in private, it creates fascinations with taboo and things that are not accepted at school. Swears, illicit jokes, violent video games, all that stuff. That started, at least for me, in primary school. I think that's not a universal truth for everybody, but I think it's quite common.
Oh,
I'm sure. I'd say middle school is the first time that people start taking feelings of sex and romanticism seriously. At high school, that's when things generally are just kind of in full motion. With relationships are starting to become pretty normal. A lot of people at that point will have had sex, and people are starting to drink, smoke, vape.
some say Canadian girls are quite independent and don't care about guys' income or appearance. Do you think that's true? What have you seen in real life? Just depends on your personal observation.
On my personal observation, even that, I know people who are very conservative because I went to a Catholic school in which how they dress, how they're supposed to act with people. And I know people who are completely have very extroverted appeals, right? Socials, parties, all that stuff. And that would probably mesh into what you would see with an independent woman. But I don't think it's fair to say that they're all like that, because they aren't. You have people who are religious or grew up in very isolated conditions and are very introverted, and that doesn't really apply to them. You may find that there's more extremes than the women in China. It might be your experience. But there's also the other side of people who are very reclusive and conservative based on religion or based on just how they were brought up, because we have many people with different belief systems in Canada.
In China, the men always regarded her as a primary breadwinner.
Yeah.
As same as in Canada?
Canada, there was a time and there was a place, and that was the time and place is gone for several reasons. One is because of women's rights and the advancement of women through feminism and stuff like that, where they are no longer supposed to be these subservient people who have to do what the husband says because the husband makes the money. There's a long history of suffragettes and all that stuff through Canada, and we are very progressive in our cultural and identity politics here. And so we put a high emphasis on the autonomy of women, because women are equal to men in our views, and therefore they can do what men can do. And the thing with all that is that that kind of stereotype goes away. But also the socioeconomic status in Canada and North America in general, maybe not Mexico, but Canada and Europe and United States, is stuff expensive. And you can't expect to support always a family on one person's income. And so it's almost become majority relationships have both parents working.
If a girl told you, I'm not looking for a relationship, just something physical, how would you feel about that? Would you accept it?
I would say for like a one night stand kind of situation, I think that's quite common, especially if people are under the influence of alcohol.
If your future partner said that she never wants to get married or have kids, but still wants to stay together long term, would you be okay?
Absolutely. Marriage as a concept to me, being that my parents are divorced and all that, and considering the high divorce rates and uncertain times that we live in, is something that I can completely understand people wanting to avoid because it creates situations that can lead to hardship. If I had a partner who was kind of either not wanting to do it for financial reasons because they were concerned about asset splitting, or they didn't want to do it because the divorce process is so messy, or because they just don't know what the future is going to be like, I think it's okay that that's how things are, and I think it's common and it's acceptable considering that marriage itself.
Do you have any question for me?
Do you think that the differences that we've discussed in Canadian culture, North American culture, Western culture, do you see them as advantageous, positive, neutral, negative, just different from your own cultural experience back home?
Since coming to Canada, I experienced a different culture.
Yes.
I also suffered a culture shock here. I want to mention that work-life balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much positive than China. After work hours, no people online in their teams.
I guess as a summary then for you, you feel that there are benefits to the social aspects of being here because the balance is better, like the standard in terms of how much you have to work and stuff like that, and the integrity of people are better. But so you like some aspects of, how do I put it, societal structure that we live in. So from what I understand is that you enjoy the social aspects that we have as a larger community.
Yeah.
But the individual you find is not as admirable because they're a lot less social.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially at university.
Yeah.
People are always on their phones.
Yeah, it seems like here people has more distances between individuals.
Yeah. And again, I think part of that has to do with age.
Do you like this kind of still?
I like my space. I feel like part of it might even be just because we are such a big open country. At least if I were to look at stuff that wasn't related to age and technology, we have to go far to see people that we love, and we have to go far to work and stuff like that because it's just a big country and it's laid out. So a lot of people are from different places and do different things, and when you spend a lot of time going to and from and you don't live with the same people that you work with or the same people that you see on a daily basis, sometimes that can lead to less deep relationships.
Thank you for today can come here, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.